Hello and welcome to This Esports Life, episode 9. That's right, 9 episodes. Sorry we missed an episode last week. Sorry this week's last week episode is a little late. I apologize. This week we got some fantastic questions from Twitter. I actually got 15 questions from Twitter, and that really helps because I don't think that I'll be talking about much outside of the questions. These questions are going to touch on stuff I wanted to talk about, but there's a lot of stuff that I thought I'd be able to talk about this week that I can't talk about this week. And I was like, oh, this one's going to be I can't talk about that stuff this week. I've been doing so much lots of stuff. But, maybe next week and maybe the week after, who knows. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about, I promise. You stick around till episode 9/10. You're gonna hear the hot goss. But let's just jump into it, dude. Let's just put out some content. Tomorrow, speaking of content, by the way, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video for the new Fortnite update. We're going to try to do some Fortnite stuff because we've been doing a lot of CSGO stuff. We just uploaded our last video, or sent over our last video to ECS. That's going to be on the ECS YouTube channel. You guys should go watch it. I think it's our most fun. I like it the most. I don't think it's like our subject matter is a little bit like, it's a little bit less serious. It's a little bit less try-hardy, but I think it was the most fun video that we've done in recent memory, so I really like it. And that kind of ends that portion of contract content with ECS, and then we're going to decide how we spend the rest of the summer. We're going to do back-to-back videos through the summer, like how many videos can we do. But I definitely want to get some Fortnite content in there. I don't know how you guys feel about it on this channel, but dude, something's wrong with this YouTube channel, by the way. We uploaded our video, a week and a half ago. And since then, I've just lost 150 subs or more. Just bled out throughout the week. And the only reason I noticed because we're at 80K, and now we're like, whatever, 79,854. I don't know what is going on. But it needs to stop because it just makes me want to not put anything here. For some reason, This Esports Life, the last episode, had the least views of any of them. And it's definitely the best one. Episode 8, this top shelf Esports Life vlog content. I don't know if it was too long or what, but it's under 1,000 views. Like, what the hell is going on, dude? So I would like to switch to pivot a little bit to go to Fortnite content, as well as keep the vlog stuff off. So it's like, everything, something for everybody, no matter what I decide to do in the future. But it really starting to feel like it's just like, I don't know if we do put up Counter-Strike stuff on the channel, or I don't really know. I don't know what's going on, if it's YouTube, if it's Counter-Strike content, or what the deal is. But I guess luckily for us, we're kind of more suited to like the more professional esports content things for like live streams. We can make shit that's TV ready, me and Nathan. So I think it's like in our best interest to try to align with professional organizations to get our content out there to these different audiences, as opposed to doing it on our YouTube channel. But it would be really cool to have like the YouTube channel grow, and I have no idea why it's just bleeding subs. I mean, maybe we've got to make every video 10 minutes and have jump cuts, and I don't know. I don't really know. But I think what we're going to try next is to do some Fortnite content, see how that goes. And not even just to grow the channel, just because we want to. Like me and Nathan both are. The replay editor is so cool, and it's a new game, and it's a new challenge. You've got to have new challenges in life to keep you going. And I feel like we could offer some really fucking good. Sorry, I swear a lot. We offer some really good, different types of content. And I really like Fortnite, and we have a professional Fortnite team. So we definitely want to explore that avenue. But screw all that. Let's get into the questions, because this might take a while to get through them. Crackshot CS. What do you think of the proposed changes that are allegedly coming to Fortnite? So just on that note, the rest of these questions are basically CS, BOXR related, and so on. But this is definitely a good one, because they're Fortnite are adding they mentioned that in the upcoming weeks, they want to maybe explore resource caps, which means that, so the thing is, for people who don't know what Fortnite really is about, it's this game it's like PUBG, but then you have this thing called building, and building is this really beautifully constructed defensive and offensive option that's in the game that helps you to survive in what would normally be an impossible to win 1v99 game, right? Like you have the option to instantly put up a giant wall that's unrealistic, but it works in the Fortnite world, and it can help you if you're really good to defend for yourself and also approach and outplay multiple people if you're really that much better. And they want to make building a little bit weaker. They want to explore other options, like all these different kinds of guns that they're adding, and they want to add resource caps so things don't just end off in build fights all the time. And I don't know. I don't like the idea of resource caps. I don't know how other really good players feel about it, but I'm not sure if it would matter all that much depending on how severe the resource caps would be. I think just from like the perspective of like what's Fortnite's ethos. I mean, like the game is different and separates itself from other BR games because it has building. So I don't like the idea of messing with that. It's kind of like it's kind of biting the hand that feeds you, in my opinion. But there are other things to it. I mean, the game is definitely really well optimized for a BR. It's got a lot of cool, like the emotes are done really well, as silly as those are. It's got a lot of different weapons and creative ways to do different things, bounce pads and traps and grenade launchers and interesting physics and stuff. So there is more to it than building, but building is definitely all at the center of it. It's a big one. And I think everyone's favorite mode is Blitz, where you have more resources, you have a shorter game, and you have the ability to like constantly get into build fights. And I don't know, who knows, man. I think have been hit or miss with some of the things they've added, but I like the fact that they add weapons, they remove the weapons that are really bad. They removed the guided missile, they removed what was it that they added recently that was really bad? Jetpacks. They removed the jetpacks, so they're kind of smart about the way that they add and remove stuff. So overall, I think people are kind of worried about Fortnite getting a little bit too casual or whatever, but I think that they do have some respect for the esports side of things. And it's always an interesting balance to strike for companies, because they have to think like the casual population in every game is always like just trounces the amount of hardcore / esports players and teams and money involved in esports. But that being said, it is really hard to quantify how important it is that your game is competitively viable. Like if your esport is really big, that means a lot of people are watching the game that would have no idea about the game otherwise. So how many people does that bring in? Figuring out that conversion rate, I think, is a constant challenge for these big titles. And I think that you can't ignore the amount of eyes on esports. So as much as you've got this, 90% of your player base being casual and buying skins and stuff, you don't know if a lot of them came because they heard of a tournament or because their favorite player plays it. The stream they watch is because someone who's amazing at the game, who's only amazing because he was in it for the esport. I think there has to be some level of respect for the esport. I think Epic does see that, so I think it'll all work out in the end, personally. At Koi Vision, thank you for the question. Crackshot, aka Zach. At Koi Vision, are you worried about social media addiction / harmful effects of overconsumption, particularly when you can write it off as an excuse for work for your personal brand? This is actually something I think about a lot. I think if I spend too much time on Twitter, it's really bad, because people on Twitter are just I don't know if I believe in the thought of like trivializing mental health issues like mattering in a realistic way. If you have control over what you think, and I just don't think, if you're ever in a position where your mind is so fickle that stuff can actually affect you negatively, there's probably something else you can do about it. But that being said, it can be a rabbit hole to sit on Twitter and read through things and go through threads, and it's all pointless stuff and jokes and stuff like that. And I guess the only time that it really makes me feel bad is when I use it too much, and that's where the overconsumption, I guess, comes in. And yeah, I definitely don't identify with the type of person to be on social media all the time, constantly putting up pictures of what they're doing, videos of what they're doing on their Instagram stories. That stuff is not that easy for me. Some days I feel like I can do it. Some days I think I have like some funny like long, 4 or 5 piece stories or whatever that I want to put up, and I'm super motivated. Some days I wake up and it's just like I think of funny tweets all day and I'm like tweeting and having a lot of fun with it. Some days I'm not really into it, and the key to growing on social media is to be consistent. So I definitely find myself on it, on Instagram, on Twitter all day. And on the days that I'm not really feeling into it, I think it definitely feels like, all right, well, I should just have like take some time away from it in total, or just completely. But yeah, so I guess in that sense, it does feel somewhat harmful. But I have been taking care of myself really well recently, like, running every morning, spending a lot of time developing some of those important skills like cooking, making sure to, I don't know, just talk to people a lot more, as opposed to, I basically haven't streamed since before E3. And I guess I don't want to squeeze this in the middle of the Q&A, but yeah, I haven't streamed since before E3, and part of that is just because I just have not enough time, and the other part is because I found that it's helped me like get other things done, which I probably wouldn't have done if I streamed. So I think I'm just taking some time off to for both those reasons, because number one, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that's really pretty cool, kind of no matter what happens, and it's just taking up a lot of my time. And then also I've taken up a lot of time, and then also I've found like a lot of enjoyment in using this free time to do other things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. And yeah, I'll explain that all probably in the next episode, so I'll kind of leave it at that. But yeah. I think for for somebody who isn't doing this as a job, consider not using social media too much. I would definitely say that. And sometimes it takes taking a step back to realize how much it's doing. Really think about that. Not to say it is definitely pertinent to you, but sometimes you have to take a step back just to find out. So, if you're in a bad place or unhappy place, maybe take a step back as something, as a process of elimination, like, hey, why am I tired? Maybe it's because I need exercise. I don't exercise. Okay, I'm going to try that. I'm still tired. Maybe it's because I don't eat healthy. Okay, I'm going to cut this out of my diet. I'm going to cut dairy. I'm going to eat less bread. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to go vegan. I'm going to try to work on my energy levels from a food perspective. Still tired. Okay, well, I know it's not working out. I know it's not my diet. My food's pretty good. Maybe I'm not drinking enough water. Okay, I'm going to start drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Okay, I drink the water. Oh, wow, I actually feel not so bad. Sometimes you won't know what it is until you fix the multiple things that are causing it, or you just find that one thing, and by the process of elimination. But I think in that search, you figure out a lot of cool ways to improve your life just for other reasons. So yeah, thanks for the question, Koi Vision. Anyan asks, with Overwatch League promoting itself as a family-friendly esports league, where do the responsibilities lie when these pro players abuse their young and underage fans, orgs/league/peers, and what steps should be taken to help avoid it? Okay, so I'm not sure what the news this is in response to. I know there was that guy who was in the Overwatch League that was like sending nudes to a group convo with 14-year-old girls, and a girl that he solicited online, some weird crazy shit like that. And if it's just about, I think if it's not about that, I'm not sure. But if it's just about the fact that they're much older than their fans in general, and and when you say pro players, are you talking about only an Overwatch League? I probably should have read through and thought about this question first. But I think that maybe the question is how much, just generally speaking, how much responsibility lies on a pro player in any esport to think about what they're saying to their fans, how they're talking to them, and understanding the fact that they have a fan base. And I think that this is a great philosophical divide for some people. how much onus is it on the individual to worry about their influence on others versus how much onus is on the individual who is the fan to take everything with a grain of salt or not believe everything that's said or whatever. And I definitely think, I think for a lot of things I'm very individualistic, but I think I would take a collectivist view on this, where I believe that you definitely do have responsibility for the impact and influence you have on your fans. Now, that being said, I don't believe in moral absolutes. So I think that everyone generally should have a good idea of where to be at morally and don't break any laws and everything like that. I don't believe in absolutes, so it's a little bit hard to say when somebody is doing something wrong, in my opinion, and that's just my worldview. But I think that generally speaking, like if you're a teacher, like in a classroom, which is very similar, in my opinion, to being a famous personality on the internet, then you should think about, and you would think about, especially if you had all those people sitting in front of you, you could see their faces and their expressions on their faces, what you're saying to them, because it has a real impact. And I think we definitely lose sight of that because the disconnect of being online. You know, sometimes you get an argument with somebody. On a side note, sometimes you get an argument with somebody, and that person could be like 12 years old, but they could be well-spoken for a 12-year-old. You wouldn't even know. No face or anything to it. But you would never like yell at them like they were a 12-year-old if you saw them in real life, you know. Even the most sensitive people that are, you know, famous personalities online. There's a lot of people. So I think there is something to be said about that. I don't know about policing it, because I just think that gets so messy. But I really just take the stance that people need to be decent, you know. I don't know how else to describe it, but I guess because of that, you know, because I would say it's hard to police it. It's definitely, you know, it makes sense to me to argue that the individual who is listening, you know, that a lot of it comes down to the parents, that comes down to the friends, that comes down to the person, or the kid. And that kind of sucks, because some of that stuff is it's like chance, you know, like like the people you run with in high school or something, like no one's going to choose your parents can't help you choose those friends. I think like it depends how rebellious you are, you know, like there was no one that was going to help me choose my friends. So it really came down to chance who I met and who I like, you know, ran with in high school and how much influence they had on me. Like there's not a lot you can do about that. So I don't know. It's a really tough question, but I would just say if you're famous, be a decent person. And yeah, your impact does matter, and you should think about it. Biggest Sticko fan. Seriously, are you open to going to the minors in London? You seem to have a good relationship with the FACEIT guys in Cali, and I think you'd be a good addition to the minors in the major. I really appreciate that. Just a thought of it. I think in Atlanta I showed I was really, like, my casting has gotten really good, and it will continue to improve. And you know, as soon as I reconnect with Scrawny, we go through it, we're going to be insane. And I definitely feel ready to cast anything. Like I feel like I could learn to cast at any level now. I'm just ready, but I don't know if it will be used for the FACEIT minors, since everything is happening in London. I believe every minor now, it's like everything that's for the minors is happening in London. There might be just, you know, there's obviously going to be more UK/European talent, just because it's a lot cheaper to have them there, and there's tons of talent. So it's like, why would you go overseas if you don't have to? But if, you know, I'm invited, I would, like, obviously take the opportunity very seriously, be happy to go. So I think I do have a good relationship with Dan and James, for sure. But I think some of the reason, if we don't get invited, I think it just comes down to the fact that it's just like overseas. At Veteran TNT, how is the X-Splice/BOXR thing going? Really interesting stuff. Yeah, so we basically helped with, after the Splice dropping their team, we helped Splice with the money needed for Fets to come down here, play with the team for some qualifiers and stuff. So Fets being a really, really talented player from Europe. He's done a lot of traveling in his CS career already. and you know, they needed a fifth basically. So we helped them do that. It was kind of just like a loose sponsorship, but now we're kind of helping them find a bigger home because they've got a, you know, pro league spot. That's a whole another tier of responsibility as an organization. If you have a pro league spot, the money just goes way up. So they're qualified to find a much better org with the level of play that they have, the level of prestige they have in their spot. So that's what we've been doing recently. But it was cool to see, you know, casters say BOXR when they're talking about a Counter-Strike team. It's cool to see them to play in games and stuff like that, all with all the logos and stuff. Definitely was cool to see. With your Jabobstev at Jabobstev asks, with your sponsorship of the X-Splice team, I imagine this will be the beginning of a higher tier CS team sponsorship. What are your goals with this time of work in the short term, long term, and short term? So with this, it was simply the fact that we wanted to help out. Our goals with it, we didn't have any goals with it. It was simply to help out, but it was cool to be a part of it. And like I would say, like, you know, we're kind of always pointing in that direction, like we always have been. So like we sponsored Zoo as a Smash player, and then we got involved with the Splice guys, and we have the Fortnite team that are all tagged up, but not officially signed to us. And so we are always pointing in that direction, and it feels like that's probably a direction we'll always continue to be pointing in. So who knows with the future what ends up happening. Dude with Nose asks, how much have you thought about turning BOXR into a fully fledged esports org with salaried players and sponsors in the future? It's definitely something we've thought about, and I think we have the tools to do it. You know, like we have the tools to do it. I think, you know, if we have the right team to do it with, we have Nathan, we have Taylor to handle like managing the team, doing all the merchandise stuff, Nathan doing all the back end stuff as well as some of the creative stuff. We got Luke who helps with so much of the business stuff, and we have me as like a public facing figure. Like we have like a lot of and we're all like pretty well connected, and you know, we've earned our clout, I guess, in terms of the amount of impact we've had on the scene and working in esports in general. So we'd be super authentic, we'd be really understanding with players, we know how to build things, we have done it organically. We're a super lean organization. You know, our clothing store is profitable right now, and yeah, so I think we're primed and ready to go. So we'll see. I would never take that off the table, I don't think. How is BOXR doing? V1 LOLO asks. And number 2, how much do you like casting? And if you could do something else in the online realm, what would it be? I would say in 2018, I love casting. I would say ever since DreamHack Denver, I absolutely love casting. I figured out my groove. I'm loving it. I want to do more casting, and hell yeah, dude. I'm all about casting. I'm all about casting. If I were to do something else in the online realm, that's tough. Casting pays the best. Casting pays the best. Doing white label content is great. It's fun. As long as I find a way to keep it fresh, I enjoy doing it. Also feel like even though we've done like really insane videos so far, I think I'm personally like starting to hit my stride. For Nathan, I don't know when he felt like he hit a stride or if he feels like he still has it coming. I think from the outside, our videos look amazing from both my side and from Nathan's side, because we definitely tried really hard to do them. But you know, in terms of our own development, I feel like I'm just, you know, kind of just getting started in some sense. So I like doing the white label content. I want to explore that for sure some more, and that also makes pretty good money. So I don't know. There's that. I think in a couple of years, maybe I see myself more on the business side of things. I don't know how much I'll enjoy it, but I definitely am having fun learning. I've been learning a lot of stuff on the business side of things and kind of having more of those conversations and stuff. So it's an interesting process to kind of go into, because I never thought I would ever do that. Like I remember my friend, my best friend Brandon, always used to say like you're an entrepreneur because I tried all these different things. Like I tried the clothing store and a couple other things, and moved into this like, you know, moved into selling myself as a brand and the content creation and the casting and stuff. And it felt like it, but all of those things were kind of creative ventures. So it didn't, for me, exactly feel like I was doing things on the business side. But now that there's more money involved and there's more options and things that I can do, you know, now that we have a company, you know, it's just starting to become more real in that sense. And now it also helps because I have trouble learning anything and remembering anything if I don't get to apply it the next day. And now that I do have the company, learning about different things pertaining to business, it's starting to stick in my mind more. And I'm also enjoying learning about it because I get to go and apply it as well. But BOXR's doing great. I think we're in a really good place. I think our main problem right now is size, but we have some strategic options that we're pursuing that can potentially take us over the line. And so if there's one thing I've learned from Fortnite, it's that you can blow up in a month. So it's kind of cool that we're not like sports in the sense that, you know, there's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, all these different sports, and they're just like static. Maybe not to the outside. I mean, or maybe not to the inside, but to the outside, it's like relatively static, especially compared to esports, which is like new esport every day. Oh, this game's dead. Oh, this game's in. Literally, these people talking about Fortnite dying, by the way. Like, this game's dead soon. Like, dude, they announced $100 million 2019. That shit hasn't even started yet. Anyways, it's a lot more fluid, but that means that there's a lot more crossover, a lot more chance for cross-pollination, cross-promotion, jumping from game to game, and, you know, who knows when you hit your stride. So I like the fact that you kind of have a number of chances to become popular, have a fresh start, all that stuff. It's pretty sick. And as much as I don't want Counter-Strike to ever be negatively affected, I think that's cool. But listen, you can't compare Counter-Strike to any game unless it's been out as long as Counter-Strike. So that's why it's just like that. I wouldn't worry about or be offended about anybody who is super hyped up on a game that's new. They've all got to run the gambit. They've got to go through the trial by fire. They've got to exist for years and years. They've got to have insane peaks. They've got to have the best talent. They've got to have good gameplay that lasts, that has high skill ceiling. They've got to have great devs. You don't fucking learn that shit in year 1 and 2, okay? Counter-Strike's done that. It's one of the very few games that has. So no one should freak out. All right. Ty Sherbeck, how do you watch a demo for the purpose of improving? What do you look for specifically in the rounds that team/IGLs and individuals alike can use to improve their mistakes? I definitely watched to use it as like a wall hack to figure out what somebody was doing and what I was thinking when they were doing that. I mean, there was like, I always use the example of like, oh, waiting outside Palace on Mirage. Like if you think there's gonna be an A lurk and you're on CT side, and it's like, oh, do you push in or do you wait? Do you hope it's going to be B, or like, do you think someone might be waiting for you to roof Palace? And it's like, if you watch the demo, you can just know. And then next time you'll be more confident about peeking, pushing, or falling back or rotating. And that's one example. Another, you know, there was definitely like counter stratting that I was able to do because I watched demos where I, you know, if someone plays B on cash and it's like on T side and they go and they do like the same thing every single time, they break the glass once every 3 rounds, they throw the smoke and the Molotovs, or they don't throw the smoke and Molotovs sometimes, you can just figure out their people's patterns. And I mean, as someone who's also played B, you know, I know what patterns I have, and you try to do as much as you can, but like, let's say, for example, you always throw the smoke, and if they throw the smoke, they always throw the Molotov. So now you can see that if you hear the smoke bounce off the wall, you can actually push out, and because they have to throw the Molotov in B main into checkers, they have to push out against the wall. You can peek them and shoot them when they're throwing the Molotov. You can be that confident because you watched a demo on somebody to know that you can get away with that timing. That's like a small timing that people would never expect to be infiltrated, and there are tons of those tells that you can use to get away with pushes that for the other team look so egregious that they can't believe you've done it, and they don't even think that it's because you watched a demo. You know, just think like, this kid's a fucking idiot. But that's exactly what you want them to think. Basically, you want to watch the demos for stuff that you can't see on your screen in a game. By comparing it to what you thought when you were in the game with your incomplete information. Ashes 9xy. Ashes 9xy. Are you actually able to make a living out of this? I mean, as an analyst, not a player, how much of a struggle is this? I'm not struggling. I don't know how many people are struggling. I think a big thing for me is I've always had a number of ways to make money. So if like I don't have casting in the month of July pretty much, which is casting is like the most important part of my income. But then some months I'll have like 2 or 3 events, but then I always have like this white label content that I'm doing, week to week. So like I'm always making a lot of money because I have options. But I think this right now is like a driest point for me. It's like a little bit worrying just because I've missed almost $30,000 in events since Christmas because of this like work permit situation, which I still don't have an answer about, by the way. But I also made money because I was able to stay here. So it's just that there's also not just about the money, like doing the events, being there, having the experience, meeting those people, stuff like that, building those relationships. It's all very important too. So that's kind of a little bit salty about that. But in general, like say I had all those opportunities, I'd be doing extremely well. Yeah, I could live comfortably, and yeah, I think but I would never want to just be a caster or just be a content creator or just be anything. No, I want to have 10 certificates. I've actually always seen myself as a specialist, just the weird part to that. Like I've never wanted to be someone who was a jack of all trades but master of none. I've never wanted to be that. I've actually wanted to be a specialist. But right now, I think I'm happy that I have the ability to make money doing more than just like casting. So, it's tough. If you have one aspiration and you want to follow that, I still say all power to you. You should still go and do what you feel like you want to do. But maybe be concerned about the fact that you will live and die by that thing. If stuff happens that's beyond your control. Alo Shanks says, any thoughts on the current era of stand-ins? Have you had any experience with them in a team over an extended period of time? And do you have any idea of how that might affect FaZe/Mouse/C9 and the run of the major? Stand-ins is an interesting thing, and I've only, played it like the mid-tier or whatever, but I would say there's, when there's not a lot of money on the line, when you have a stand-in, you're always thinking about your main guy, I would say generally. So you're probably going to be a little bit less responsible with a stand-in. You're going to be a little bit more loose. There's going to be the dynamic's going to change where you got a new person in TeamSpeak. You don't know what kind of comms they have, how they want to play, how comfortable you want them to feel versus how comfortable they want you to feel. Do they just want to be like this guy's just full support, or are they a player that's good enough, or replacing a player that's so good that they need to take on some more responsibility? The fragging department, do they need support? So, but then, I've never played at the professional level, so I can't say what it might have been like for Mouse and nothing, like how they treated him, what he offered up to them. I'm sure they just pretty much talked about it, in a very loose way. Like, this is what I'll be able to do. This is what I should do. These are the roles I'll take in general. And then they all kind of agree to probably just be like lenient because there'll be mistakes that get made. But I don't know about how it'll affect them. I mean, I wouldn't look at it as that much of a setback, I guess. Like, it's not going to affect the org and the brand as a whole, I don't think. I think they simply will just recover when they get a new player. But it gets weird with, like, FaZe. FaZe have done a lot with... okay, so Kobe's going to ask this question. And I'm just going to bleed into that. So how crazy is FaZe performing at their current level with ongoing roster problems to you? You think nothing's performance the Mouse is overblown by the community? Well, I think, FaZe, even with Olaf, have like an insane amount of talent, but I don't think that just like automatically grants them victories at big events. I think they definitely have earned it, and it's just like really cool to watch that they can actually still perform at that level. But I think that is kind of the value of the system that Kerrigan has put in place. Very loose. Very, very loose. So in terms of standing, it's hard to see from the outside. I think a lot of that stuff the team has a good idea of, like where they feel mentally. You know, with Olaf coming back and going out, like that probably was like a bit of a hit to their mentality. You know, Kerrigan's probably just gearing up to get him there, and then when he's there, had all these plans for what they're going to do when he gets back, and then he's gone again. And so mentally, that's probably very taxing. And then have to go into another situation with I think at a certain point you probably want to consider, like, I need to mentally check out of the thought that Olaf is ever coming back. And I would say, okay, let's pick our next stand-in with the thought that they might be permanent, and just assume that, because that way I'm not going to get my heart broken. You know, I'm not going to go into a match and tournament and not expect the best results, and then just expect that Olaf will be back after it, and then not have him back, and then wish I try harder in that tournament. No, they've got to kind of move someone in, I think, mentally, and commit to them and treat them as like a solid fifth. Yeah, definitely. Treating it like a stand-in can only do you bad, unfortunately. So it just takes a lot of mental fortitude, and it's probably very draining. Do you think Nothing's performance for Mouse is overblown by the community? I actually think his performance is really good. I was just shocked that he, even not being able to practice at all, and then coming in at short notice, and then playing versus tier 1 competition, making it to the final of ESL 1 Belo Horizonte. Sorry if I butchered that. I think he played really well. I was shocked. I don't know if there's many people that can do that, man. Just made you remember, like, who Nothing is in the first place, right? Like the kid with the money and the shit-eating grin winning ESEA LAN at, like, whatever, how old, or 14 or 15 years old or whatever the fuck. Just insane talent. That was a super cool storyline with Rob saying that was his favorite player, and now he's playing with him, and then they make it so far at a tournament. It's awesome. So I don't know. There's romance, and there, you know, it was romanticized, but I think he still did really well, even with the off maps, just overall. In the finals too, there's just one map I think he played really badly, or missed some stuff. But I think the big thing was decision making. Like, even the maps were just like didn't get a lot of kills. It felt like he did a lot of good, made confident decisions. Like on Cash, I remember a round where he was like on the B split out mid to B, and he went through vent, and he had like perfect spacing with them connecting into the B side, and I was like, holy shit, like you did your job exactly as if you guys dry ran it like 100 times before the match. So I was very impressed personally. Wrapping up here, Luke 1VV says, do you think a top team needs a support player to evolve, getting better and being successful? I think you need supportive personalities. I don't know that anybody really holds support players as a very static or black and white role anymore. But I've always viewed it as a supportive personality, whether it comes down to your literal personality of being like the glue, you know, the person that people can come to with problems, or people who can kind of roast as a joke, or people that can, you know, just keep the atmosphere chill. I think that is like a supportive person type, you know, somebody who is thinking about other people more than themselves. I think it's just important to have those people mixed in with the people who are more narcissistic, more confident in themselves. Just they've got the blinders on, you know, they're focused on their game and hitting their shots and taking risks and not thinking about their teammates. And then you got the supportive personalities to come in to make sure that all of the scorched earth that they leave behind is taken care of, right? And any other fires are put out so they can just focus on their game. I think you just need the balance of bulls and supportive personalities. That's how I see it. I really see it as like support player and support player role, but I definitely think that's important for a team. Yeah, even just to, I see it as like the oil, you know, the gears of the fraggers, and you have the oil to make sure that the gears can last. I think they're both extremely important, and for the longevity of a team too. Yeah. Yasin Pekin, aka Broken Stool, asks, is the CZ balance after the new update? I have not played a game since before E3. That was the last time I like streamed, and that was pretty much the last time I played a game. I will be playing a charity show match at Zotac Regional Cup Finals thing next week at Esports Arena. If you guys need a code for that, hit me up on Twitter I'll send you a code so you guys can come for free if you want to say hi, just hang out and watch the event. But because of that, I'm gonna play some deathmatch every day this week, make sure I'm sharp, so that I can do well. And I'll tell you more about the CZ then. But I've basically only been in demos to use Counter-Strike since E3. So I don't know. Do you think you could become a professional CSGO player by training hard and discipline and no innate talent in the game? At GMBS Dad asks. No, I think you need talent. It's important, but I don't. It's a weird thing because I don't think anybody should think about it. You know, like you should never think about how much talent you have because nobody knows the answer to that. So what you need to think about is how hard you have to work to be at the top. You know, there's players at the top that don't have as much talent. Everyone's got some don't have as much, but the great leveling, unifying factor is how hard people work, how dedicated they are to the craft. You don't get to the top unless you work hard. You don't, unless you work smart / work hard, right? Like dedicated, you are always thinking at the very least about how to improve, you know, and that's what people talk about in sports is like eat, sleep, and breathe it. And that's just how it is. So I think maybe low level professional, but you need some talent. You know, you need some talent. I think you need some talent to get global elite. You need some talent to get supreme. Like at the end of the day, you need some talent. I don't know. Talent is not exclusive to people who are pro players, like, but yeah, I think that you definitely need talent. So there, 40 minutes in, I think we're gonna call it there. This video will go up in the middle of the week. Got a lot more stuff to do this week. I still haven't streamed. It's gonna stream tomorrow, but got a video doing in the morning. I've got a meeting at noon. I've got a ton of shit. So I am keeping busy, which is good. I wish it was more reflected in the content that went up on this channel, but we're right in the middle of a pivot transition type deal. So you'll learn more about that in the future coming up. For this one, no sponsors. Store.boxr.gg. Buy a shirt. Thanks for the questions, by the way. They're amazing. And hit me up on Twitter if you have some more.